So in this video I'm going to cover how I'm spending my days post boot camp with General Assembly. So this being a really important time to kind of hone your skills on what you already know and learn some new skills that will make you more job ready. I'm personally really going towards front end. I haven't really been applying to back end jobs, so I've been spending my time improving my front end skills as well as changing up my resume so that employers will see the best skill set for the jobs I'm applying for. So essentially, thus far, it's been 2 weeks since my boot camp, and I've completed about 3 to 4 code challenges. Fortunately, have not succeeded at any of them. However, I have learned quite a bit through failing, and because of that, I feel like I'm way more job ready today than I was 2 weeks ago following the boot camp. So it sucks not having a job. However, seeing that growth is pretty important. And it's been really nice knowing that maybe over the next week, maybe I'll learn even a few more skills that'll make me even more job prepared as I'm going through the interview process. Next, after I failed a coding challenge that was really front-end heavy and really focused mostly on the design and layout, I went to ESPN's site and decided that I wanted to help build that out, and I did it. I feel really good because it took me 2 days. I worked my tail off to do it, and if you've ever been to the site, it's a sports site, ESPN.com. It's pretty design heavy. There's a lot of functionality, of course, but there's a lot of little nuances to it, and I was really proud of the way I built it out. And sure enough, it's on my LinkedIn. If you go to my LinkedIn, Spencer Cornelia, and you can see I've got a picture of it. It turned out really well. I also have the GitHub if you want to look at the code. But essentially what I'm getting at is I knew that I needed to improve my front-end skills, and what better way than to go to an actual website and try to build it out. That was the code challenge, was building out a website for a certain company. So I figured I'd do that with ESPN to help build those skills, and I might do it again with another site, maybe a site that has a different look to it. What this also serves as is a showcase of your skills to employers and say, hey look, here's this difficult website, I made it look just as professional so I can do that to yours. I noticed that on my resume, even though I was applying to front-end jobs, I didn't really have like a professional-looking project. So that's what the purpose of this was. So that was a couple days, really mentally taxing, but I feel like it benefited me in a couple ways. I've also been applying to a lot of jobs. When I say 200 jobs, don't freak out, as this is just kind of the process of applying. You know, you mass send out applications. It's not the best way to do it, but sometimes it's all you have when you don't have too many connections in the field that you're applying to. So I wouldn't recommend this approach to everyone. However, I did have time. I don't really have family out here, and I've got a lot of free time now that I'm unemployed and post boot camp. So I've been able to apply to a lot of jobs. Now some of the sites are recruiting sites and you can just apply with one click. A lot of jobs are really quick application process, which I'm really thankful for. I get really disgruntled whenever I see a site where that asks you for all your employment history, references, work history. It's like, look at my resume, I've got it all there for you. So all 200 are not the long process applications. I would probably say 90% of them are within 5 minutes and I'm done. So anyway, back to the topic. I apply to probably 5 to 6 a day on average. Recently I've been messaging those people who I'm interested in working with on LinkedIn. So I'm noticing job openings on Indeed or Craigslist or whatnot, and I've been looking up these people on LinkedIn and messaging them directly. I don't have an answer for if this is the best approach because I don't have feedback yet. However, I do know that getting an internal referral is pretty great. So essentially what I'm trying to do is figure out who the hiring manager is and get my resume to them directly. Or if they get back to me and say it's a no, at least I can get decent criticism or at least some feedback on what I'm doing wrong or what I need to improve on. Maybe a project on my resume isn't up to standard, etc., etc. At least I can get that feedback and move forward and improve myself. I've gone to a couple meetups thus far. One at Google, they do an excellent job with their HTML5 meetup. But these serve as two things. One was a D3 meetup, so I wanted to learn new skills and get an idea of the D3 community. Then they also serve as networking. I was able to meet 4 or 5 really cool dudes and females at the Google meetup, and they're all in the industry. They were great connections. They didn't lead to a job or a resume passing, if you will. However, this is just the start, and if you do them enough, at a certain point you might find the one, right? Just like dating, all it takes is one to get the perfect job. General Assembly hosts a technical interview prep session every Wednesday night. I have not gone to one of these yet. I did week 1 of the boot camp, but I haven't been since. And I will go this Wednesday and then hopefully every Wednesday after. But this will be a really good way to improve the technical aspect of the coding interview, which is really tough and daunting to those who haven't been through it. And from what I read, it seems pretty difficult. So this will be another way to maybe meet some people who are post-grads of the boot camp and just kind of network. I usually have a few interviews, phone interviews per week. They can be ranging from informational interviews, just kind of reaching out to me, getting an idea of who I am, to actual phone interviews and the process of actually being considered for employment. So I have those maybe 3 or 4 a week. And then lastly, I watched a video today on how to become a web developer. It's funny enough that it took me 2 weeks to research this. However, the video was really informational, and a lot of the stuff we're taught. I would probably say 70–80% of the material that he mentions and the technologies that you need to know, we know from General Assembly. However, there are a few things that gave me an idea on what I need to work on. These being sass with CSS. We kind of touched on it, but I don't have great experience with it. We also didn't touch on gulp. It's like a pre-compiler. We kind of briefly touched on minifying JavaScript files. However, this is something that isn't necessarily something you put on your resume or, hey, I can do this, because most applications aren't asking for it. But in order to become job ready and a really good developer from day one at your first job, I think these are skills that will be really nice to know. And then lastly, Angular. We touched on it in my boot camp, but it is daunting from what I hear to learn it or teach yourself. However, getting like a fundamental skill set with Angular would be really great. Keep in mind we're applying for junior level programming jobs, at least I am personally. So having like a fundamental knowledge of the language and a basic syntax is really important. I think that's really all you need to know. Or maybe implement it in a small project and show that you actually do have the skills. That would probably be all that would be needed. I'll probably spend time with those over the next 2 weeks, and maybe a few things that he touched on that I didn't mention. And that's how I'm spending my days. Hope you enjoyed it. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I'll get back to you quickly, and feel free to subscribe, and you can follow my journey to becoming a web developer. I'll keep making these videos, and I hope they're of help.